Oh, even saying that kind of gives me the NBJs. In one sitting, and I believe it generally, sitting, and oh my gosh, my dogs. And then a 3, monitoring, continuous monitoring. I can't do it. Okay, it gives you a continuous, it gives you continuous glucose number. It gives you 3 easy alternatives to the blood glucose test. If you're at the 25-week mark of pregnancy, chances are your doctor is asking you to come in for the lovely glucose testing. And by lovely, I mean the dreaded glucose testing. So if you're not familiar, let me give you a little bit of background. Gestational diabetes is high blood sugar that develops during pregnancy. And there are some common risk factors that can make you more susceptible to gestational diabetes. Being plus size, increasing maternal age, history of diabetes, or even diabetes in a close relative. Now, it's also common that individuals pre-pregnancy who have a normal BMI level still end up getting gestational diabetes during their pregnancy. So it's a really imperative test that doctors do just to be aware and diagnose if there is something going on during pregnancy. And unfortunately, if you have gestational diabetes, there are a lot of problems that can result from it. Preeclampsia, fetal high blood sugar, premature birth, higher birth weight, or having a larger baby, newborn intensive care, newborn jaundice, newborn low blood sugar. Ensuring and getting tested to see if you have it or not is really important, and every single doctor will bring it up at some point during your pregnancy. So as you can see, it's important to do this testing in order to prevent all these problems, or at least be conscious of them, so that the mom can change her diet, regulate her lifestyle to ensure a healthier baby and mama. So here's the thing. The most common way of screening and testing for gestational diabetes is this lovely fella. It looks small, but it is mighty and packs a punch. Let me tell you a little bit about it and what the testing involves. So within this 10 fluid ounces is 50 grams of sugar, 50. So what the mom has to do, she has to drink the entire 50 grams of sugar in one serving, and I believe it needs to be within 5 minutes. And then an hour later, she gets her blood sugar tested. Now, if the results of the test show that her blood sugar is higher than 130 to 140 milligrams per deciliter, I believe that's the measurement, or higher, then technically she fails the test and she has to come back for a second one. That second one's even better. The second one involves drinking 100 grams of sugar and then a 3-hour fasting diagnostic test afterwards. Unfortunately, that first test, there's a lot of research that shows it's not so accurate nowadays. So a lot of women end up failing that first test and having to do the second. Now you might be asking, is there a way around this? Is there an option to opt out? Is there something else I can do instead of pounding down all this artificial sugar? It would be different if you could have 50 grams of sugar worth of cheesecake or Oreos or frozen yogurt, but most hospitals don't allow for that. You have to drink their very specific standard drink. Generally, you can ask for the ones that don't have the artificial colors, so that's why you can see this is clear. I don't know why they give ones that have the artificial color, like that's gonna make it more enjoyable. And then there are companies that offer even more natural solutions, so it's still a drink, but I believe they use much more natural and real ingredients. Here's the thing. Whether you're concerned of drinking it for weight gain or throwing you off track, that amount of sugar in one sitting not only causes so much inflammation, but a lot of people end up sick afterwards. Granted, it's temporary and it's all for the health of the baby. I totally understand that and get that. And if that is your only solution, absolutely do whatever makes you comfortable, whatever removes any sort of concerns for you and the doctor. But I just empower you to ask questions. See if there's anything else available. If you are coming up on that 25, 26 week marker where you have to come in and do that glucose testing, but you really don't want to drink the drink, I've got some options for you. I recently found this website called EvidenceBased Birth. I'm trying to have a pregnancy and birth as natural as possible. This is my first baby, so there's a lot of unknowns. As much as I would love to do a home birth, I do have a history of a lot of medical issues, so being in the hospital and having doctors and equipment readily available is really important to me. Squirrel. I actually found the perfect combination. It's a hybrid. So it's the hospital and there's gonna be an OB, also with a midwife and a birth center. So it's kind of the best of both worlds. They're very open to natural practices like delayed cord clamping, placenta encapsulation, using Pitocin as like the very last solution. So I'm really excited and looking forward to this. My doctor was much more open and lenient for me opting out and trying alternatives to figure out where my blood sugar's at. Now, she did mention all the other alternatives are technically not diagnostic, so we can't fully determine if I have gestational diabetes or not, but based on the numbers and results from alternatives, we can get a really good picture of where my blood sugar's at and what the health of myself and the baby will be. And I would like to mention, as much as my priority is doing things as natural as possible, I am fully aware and open that if stuff hits the fan, they need to come in and do whatever they need to do. I'm completely okay with that because we can't really plan for the emergencies or what could happen. But I do surrender that it's not all in my control. And so whatever happens, happens. And as long as myself and baby are safe and healthy, that's what matters. So the main reason you came here, what are these alternatives? What can you be doing? How accessible are they? Are they easy to do? Are they a really good determinant of if you have blood sugar issues? The first alternative, which would be my number one most recommended option, is getting a continuous glucose monitor. To just rewind for a little bit, a few years ago, I think it was a few years ago, right when the pandemic happened, I really took into account how low my blood sugar was dropping. I knew I had relatively low blood sugar and I was aware of like, I would feel really lethargic and tired and irritable before I ate. And then once I ate, I had all this energy. Somehow I connected the dots, even before doctors determined it, that it could be a blood sugar issue. I went to the doctors, we did a lot of testing. We found out I have severe hypoglycemia. Hypoglycemia is low blood sugar. You are considered low blood sugar when you are 70 or below. And I think it's like milligrams per deciliter, something like that. So 70 or below is considered hypo. I normally go into the 40s, which most people go into a coma. So that kind of woke me up and I started doing some research. And this was even before CGMs were readily available and anybody could get it. I had to fight and work through doctors and insurance in order to get one of these. So let me tell you what it is. It is called a continuous glucose monitor. If you know a diabetic, you're very familiar with these. So there's the insulin pump, that's gonna be something separate. Then there's the continuous glucose monitor. And that's a device that sticks on you. So there's a little teeny tiny needle, and I'll show you. Kind of goes into your skin and you can stick it on and it stays for 7 days. It continuously provides your glucose numbers anytime you want, all day, all night, until you remove the device. So what's good about this is if your blood sugar's crashing or it's rising way too fast, you can actually set an alarm. So it connects to a device and your phone or your watch, and you can set alarms that it wakes you up or it alerts you if your numbers are out of the normal spectrum. And what's really cool about that is, especially for me, when mine would go so low, especially at night, it would wake me up so that I would go get some food before my body just completely crashed. So the company that I use is Dexcom. Absolutely love it. Had no issues with it whatsoever. Don't know if this is for every CGM company. I can have any close family members be alerted if my numbers drop beyond a certain point. So let's get into it. So what you'll get in the package, this is gonna be your sensor. So you would open it up, there's like QR codes, you scan it, and then it comes with this little device right here that holds all your data. But what you would do, this already has the needle and slot inserted. And so what you're gonna do is you're gonna put it on your skin, you kind of get it sticky, and then you press the button and the needle will go directly into you. And then there's a a little spot for you to kind of just click this in. I also purchased these pre-cut adhesive patches. You don't need it, but it would go right around the device. And so it just ensured that everything stayed put. And after showering, or if you're swimming or sweating, the regular adhesive doesn't like flap up. So these were really nice. That is an option. Generally, doctors want about a week's worth of glucose numbers. And so what's nice about this is you only have to stick that needle in once. It's gonna do all the tracking for you. Then you just screenshot your numbers, send that to the doctor, and they're able to assess from there. So that would be my absolute #1 go-to. So you could try that, ask your doctor if that's something that you can get, if they can write a prescription for. And again, the company I used was Dexcom, but I'm sure there's tons of different CGMs out there nowadays. What's cool about this, whether you're doing this if you're pregnant or not, you can see how your blood sugar is. If you're feeling a little off and you're not sure what it is, you can test your sugar. Wow, the number is 60 or 70. No wonder I need a little bit of something to eat, and that's gonna give me a little bit of energy and boost my mood. Or you might eat a meal and you can see that it shoots it up to 200. Well, it gives you a good indication of what's gonna throw your blood sugar out of whack and what's gonna be more modulating and more of a balanced meal to support your blood sugar. Second option is asking your doctor for an A1C test. So what this is testing is the average blood sugar over 3 months. So if you're like, okay, let me eat better for 2 days and then I'll go in and get my blood work and it'll be better. Sorry, it doesn't work that way. It's the average from over 3 months. Not gonna be completely diagnostic for gestational diabetes, but it will give your doctor a better indication of where your levels are at. Now, I just did mine the other day and I have a history of passing out in seizures with blood work. Trust me, I do all the things. I have a full-on setup. I am not looking. I am not doing any of that. I'm making sure that I'm hydrated before I ask for the bed. I close my eyes. I have like meditation music on. I do all the things. I have low blood sugar and low blood pressure naturally. And then I have this thing called vasovagal. And so it's this like mental reaction. And some people have it to all different types of things. For me, it's needles. Like it used to even be saying the word needles or blood would like make my face go pale and kind of practically lose consciousness. I've gotten so much better at that, but I just have a tendency to pass out getting my blood drawn. So anytime I go in, I always just warn them, let them know. So if it happens, they don't have to like call 911 or freak out or anything. So it's been maybe 10 blood work panels since this has happened. I get in and I mentioned to him, I have a tendency and a history. He's like, well, do you want to go to the bed? I was like, it's fine. I'll just sit in the chair and kind of like kind of scrunch down, smudge. And I'll kind of just like sit lower down in the chair, close my eyes, I look away, I have my music on. Well, 6 minutes later, I wake up and they're holding my legs up and there's like a compress on my head and I'm just broken out with sweat. 6 minutes is a long time. Don't worry, I've told my doctor, she knows everything is okay. But lesson learned, no matter how many times it's been since I've passed out, Nikki, just take the bed. My point being, go in and get an A1C test. It is a super quick test. They only draw a tiny bit amount of blood. So me passing out has nothing to do with the amount of blood. It's just the way my chemistry is. And the great thing about it, you don't have to fast. Eat plenty of food, stay hydrated because that's gonna plump up those veins so it'll be much easier to grab the blood. Oh, even saying that kind of gives me the NBGs. For alternative number 3, and this is what I am doing for about 5 days. This is extremely accessible. Anybody can get this. You do not need a prescription, anything like that. This is a Freestyle blood glucose monitoring system. So you can actually find this at CVS or any sort of drugstore. So let me show you what's included. So it comes with this travel pack, which is handy. And this is everything that's included. So you're gonna have your test strips right here. And so I'll show you what those look like. They're these guys. And then you have your monitor. And so what you're gonna do is you're gonna insert this end in here, push it all the way up. This is where it's gonna catch the blood. So you can see the screen's turning on. Here is the pen. So this is how you prick your finger to get the blood. And then it does give you a little amount. I think it only gives you 10 of these. I actually just purchased more and then I filled the bag up. So we can actually do it right now. So you're gonna have the little needle and it usually comes with an alcohol swab, but I just washed my hands, so we are good to go. And then it also has a really handy chart that gives you the ability to log your numbers. You know, if you're taking medication, when you're eating, when you're testing, and you can see mine, 75, 78, 72, 73, 83. And this is before and after meals. Now the highest that I've had is 109, and that's because I ate 4 tacos. So that kind of makes sense. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna grab the needle, and we've already inserted the stick. To pop it open, you're just gonna press up here. And after every use, I take the old needle out, you recap it, and you dispose of it. They actually give you a bag to dispose of the needle and the test strip. All you're gonna do is just twist that cap off, and you're gonna put it right back on. Now what's nice is it actually, disregard my disgusting fingernails. What you can see is there's a number right here. So this is 2. You can turn this knob to increase the intensity of the needle going into your skin. So let's say you have more calloused hands, or you have thicker skin, or you regularly prick and blood doesn't come out as easily. You'd want to go for a higher number. Oh my gosh, that's so embarrassing. I've noticed that 1 is a little too low and it doesn't really provide any blood for me, and so then I have to prick again. So 2 is kind of that sweet spot. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna pull back the needle, you'll hear a click, and it's ready to go. What you're gonna do now, and I always get nervous every time I do it. So you're just gonna grab anywhere on your finger. So you're just gonna squeeze, grab some of that blood, and once it gets enough, it'll beep, and it'll tell you your numbers. So 90, not bad. So that's actually pretty good for me. And I just got back from a walk and the gym, so that's really good. So then what I'll do in here is I'll add the time, and then I'll add 90. So there you have it, 3 easy alternatives to the blood glucose test. And I say alternatives in the manner that if you choose to opt out of the glucose test, these are 3 different tests that you can do to provide numbers to your doctor to either relieve their concerns, or they might push forward to have you do the drink test. This is the standard, and this is where they're able to actually diagnose if you have gestational diabetes. But if you've done 1 or all 3 of these different alternatives and shown them the numbers, chances are they'll be much more flexible with that information and allow you the opt out of the drink. Now again, every doctor is different, every situation is different. You might not even care about the drink, and instead of pricking yourself and doing all this blood work, you're like, just give me the drink. And kudos to you, mama, because I get it. This is a little bit more work. There is more involved, but for me, it was something that was important. And honestly, it was empowering to me to show that you can fight for what you want, that you just don't have to follow every single thing that they tell you. You have the ability to opt out and take the control back for your pregnancy and your birth. It's just an empowering feeling to know that I'm in a little bit more control and I have more of a say in my health and my baby's health. If your doctor's allowing you to do something like this, the blood glucose monitoring system, they'll generally give you instructions on how often to test and for how many days. My doctor wanted me to test for 7 days, 4 times a day. So before and after meals, if there is some sort of concern, I'm happy to pivot and kind of try a different solution. But that's just what I'm doing. That is my experience, my story. And again, just encourage you to ask questions, do your research, see what else is available if you're not really comfortable or happy with the types of testing that they provide. So I hope this video was helpful and you feel more empowered to take charge of your pregnancy. Bye guys.